Hello everyone and welcome back to Age Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age Sigma. Now in this video we're going to be looking at the chariots and the heroes for the Slaves to Darkness. So the reason why we're looking at the Chaos Chariots in this, as well as the heroes, sounds a bit random, but basically just got to the end of the units video for the Slaves of Darkness, and when I got to the end of that yesterday, it was already quite a long video, you know, not far from an hour, so I thought I don't want to make it too long, so I thought I'd add them on to the heroes video, just because the Slaves of Darkness do have a lot of heroes. However, I do want to be quite compact when I am reviewing some of the heroes, because some of the heroes aren't really all that, so I will look at them, but I will sort of do it quite briefly. Okay, so what we are going to start with is the Chaos Chariots. So, and this is going to be the Horse Chariot, just in case you guys aren't aware, that's the chariot, and then the other one is the Garbage Chariot, we'll get to in a moment. So looking at the Chaos Chariots, it will cost you 80 points for a minimum size unit of 1, and they can go up to unit sizes of 3 with no discount. But something important to note here is that they are actually battle line Slaves of Darkness army. So that's actually quite a big thing. You know, we've seen that with the Chaos Marauder Horsemen, even the Chaos Knights, but actually chariots being battle line means that if you really want to have like a cool themed chariot army, you know, it is possible you can do that in match play. Don't know how good that'll be, but it will still be quite it'd be really fun and thematic, and I believe there's like a battalion you could build around it. Okay, so that's how many points it cost you. 80 points, you know, pretty cheap, so there's not really too much to live up to with this, so that's always nice to have with a unit. And then going to see what it's a little bit like in the lore, it says the Chariots of Chaos hosts are brutal war engines that strike with crushing impact, sturdy constructions pulled to battle by muscular steeds. Chaos Chariots are driven pell-mell towards the enemy lines, the lashing whips of their charioteers spurring them forward so their momentum can shatter a shield wall like dried tinder. Okay, so that's a little pretty cool. So they use as like line breakers, and then see what they're like in the rules. So going through the description first. So it says a unit of Chaos Chariots consists of it says any number of models here if you're looking at the war scroll. However, it is a unit size of 1 to 3, so bear that in mind. Each chariot is a imposing fighting platform drawn by a pair of war steeds that are attacked with their rough-shod hooves, and is driven by a charioteer who cracks a lashing whip at any who draw near. A second charioteer wields a hellforged weapon. Some might carry Chaos Great Blades, while others prefer Chaos Warflails. Okay, so that tells us what weapon loadouts we can have basically. So then looking at the stats, so it moves 8 inches, it's got a 4+ save, bravery 6 and 7 wounds. So firstly, movement of 8, yeah, it's good movement. Yeah, it's a chariot, maybe you like a bit faster, especially with how far some of the Stannis chariots can go, but you know, they are Stannis chariots first off. Also, this is that incredibly heavily armoured chariot, so bear that in mind, but 8 inches isn't bad. A 4+ save, good, you know, that's where the armour comes into it. Bravery 6, would maybe like a bit higher bravery, because they are big models, but you know, they're not expensive, so maybe that's that. And then 7 wounds, which is nice. It makes the unit a pretty tough unit. It's pretty tough, big, chunky chariot you've got yourself there. And then going into the mini weapons, so you've got the Lashing Whip, which is a 2-inch range, 2 attacks, force hit, force a wind, no rend, and 1 damage. So that's an attack you're going to get anyway. And then the 2 options you have a choice with is the Chaos Great Blade and the Chaos Warflail. So see which one you would rather have. Chaos Great Blade has 2-inch range and 3 attacks, force to hit, freeze to win, master rend, and 1 damage. Whilst the Chaos Warflail has 2-inch range, D6 attacks, force to hit, freeze to wind, no rend, and 1 damage. So comparing those two there, I personally prefer the Chaos Great Blade. Number 1, because I prefer the reliability of 3 attacks rather than D6. And yeah, D6, you know, there's a good chance you're going to get at least 3, or if not more, you know. However, there's so many times where I've rolled for a D6 ability and I always get a 1 or 2. So I like the standard 3, and I also like the Ren, just in case you are playing against a high armor save army, you know, like a Stormcast army. It just means you stand a bit of a chance to punch through the armor. And then the War Steeds Rough-Shod Hooves, so there is a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, force hit, force a wind, no rend, and 1 damage. Yeah, that's not a bad horse attack, is it? And then something to note here is that so you'll get 3 attacks here, because you'll get the Lashing Whip, and then either the Great Blade or the Warflail, and then the you'll get guaranteed the Hooves attack. And 2 of those attacks there, so the Lash and Whip or the Great Blade of Warfare, they are 2-inch range attacks. That's something to bear in mind when you're attacking. You think, oh, I can't attack that enemy unit because it's a bit too far away. Just double check the range, and you might surprise yourself. Right, and then going on to the abilities, it says Exalted Charioteer. The leader of this unit is an Exalted Charioteer. He attacks with a Chaos Great Blade or Chaos Warflail, hit on a 3+ rather than a 4+. Okay, that's good. So that's just like a nice little bonus you get there. There is a champion in the unit. You know, obviously if you take one of these in a unit, it's going to be that one chariot that gets the bonus. But if you take it in unit sizes, you will still get the bonus for one of your chariots. And then the next ability is Don't Spare the Lash. So before the unit moves in the movement phase, the chariots can lash their war steeds to gain more speed. Roll a dice and add that many inches to this unit's move characteristic for the rest of the phase. Okay, so that's good. That just is an extra move, basically, isn't it? Because, like, if I'm reading it again, roll a dice and add that many inches to the unit's move characteristic for the rest of the phase. Yeah, that's good. I can't really see much negative to it, so it's a good bonus there. Like essentially a free run. And then you've got the Mark of Chaos. So I've mentioned this a lot in the last video, so I won't go into much, but you can give this the Khorne's each Nergal or Slaanesh keyword when you set it up. Remember, the last ability is Swift Death. So Chaos Chariots are at their most deadly on the charge, where their considerable bulk and bladed wheels can cause devastation amid the enemy. You can add 1 to all hit rolls and wound rolls for the Chaos War Steed's Roughshod Hooves attack if this unit charged in the same turn. So you think, oh, it's a shame, it's not going for, the guys who are on top of its weapons. However, it means that you'll get 4 attacks that are now hitting on a freeze and wounding on freeze when they charge. So that's pretty good, especially going against a horde unit that doesn't really have much of a save. Can be good there. Okay, and then looking at the keywords, we have got Chaos, Mortal, Slaves of Darkness, and Chaos Chariots. So I personally think it's a really cheap battle line option. It's actually the cheapest battle line option you have in the army. I'm not saying for like how many models you get for points, but just generally it is in a Slaves of Darkness army. So 80 points for one of these, I'd say it's worth 80 points. Especially it gives you the move potential as well, because the Slaves of Darkness, they're not the fastest army in the world. Yes, they can pull a few tricks out of the bag with I think it's like there's some spells and stuff out there, teleportation. I think we all know the guy who can do that for the Slaves of Darkness, but also because they're all quite heavily armoured, they're not the fastest army, are they? So it's good to have a fast unit in the army, I think. Okay, so that is the Chaos Chariot. Now looking at the second Chaos Chariot, but this is of course called a different name, and this is the Gore Beast Chariots. So this will be more expensive. It is 100 points for minimum size unit of 1 and maximum size unit of 3. It would also cost you 300 points, and you don't get a discount there, of course. And something else to notice, this is not battle line for Slaves of Darkness army, so it's more expensive and it's not going to be battle line. However, instead of being pulled by 2 horses, this thing is pulled by basically a demonic gorilla, so all the better really. And then let's see what it has to say about it. So talking about its description, so it says a unit of Chaos Gore Beast Chariots consists of any number of models, and if you're wondering why that contradicts what I just said, what I previously said about saying minimum size units of 1 maximum size units of 3 is because that's the match play rules. So in open play, sure, you can have as many units you want, but in match play, maximum size units of 3, so just bear that in mind. Okay, and then it says each chariot is drawn by a hulking gore beast which pummels its prey with brutish fists, and is driven by a charioteer who cracks a lashing whip at the foe. A second charioteer wields a hellforged weapon. Some might carry Chaos Great Blades, while others prefer Chaos Warflails. Okay, and then looking at the stats, so it says it's got an 8-inch move, it's got a 4+ save, it's got Bravery 6, and it's got 8 wounds. So fairly similar to the previous chariot. The only difference there, of course, is that it has got a extra wound, which is nice. So for your extra 20 points, you get another wound, and so good stats. And then going on to the weapons, so you've got the Lash and Whip, which I'll read through again, but this is basically the same attacks as it was before. So 2-inch range, 2 attacks, force hit, force the wound, no render 1 damage. The Chaos Great Blade, which is 2-inch range, 3 attacks, force hit, freeze the wound, -1 render 1 damage. And then the Chaos Warflail, 2-inch range, D6 attacks, force hit, freeze the wound, no render 1 damage. And I've already explained, I think the Chaos Great Blade is better. And then you've got the different attack, which is the Gore Beast Brutish Fists. And this is a 1-inch range, 3 attacks, force to hit, freeze to wound, no rend. However, it does do 2 damage, so that's quite nice to see there. And then going into the ability, so first it's got the Exalted Charioteer. So the leader of this unit is Exalted Charioteer. His attacks with a Great Blade or Warflower hit on a 3 rather than 4, so it's the same as the last ability we saw for the just the generic Chaos Chariots. And then the abilities that are more unique for the Gore Beast, you've got Explosive Brutality, so it says there is little as terrifying or destructive as the sudden burst of rage that characterizes Gore Beasts. If this unit makes a charge move, the result of the charge roll was 8 or more. All Gore Beasts in that unit make 6 attacks with their Brutish Fist rather than 3 until the end of the turn. Okay, so that suddenly makes them loads better, because that means their Gore Beast attack, for the Brutish Fish, it's for the fists, it is 3 attacks, force to hit, freeze to wound, no rend, 2 damage. Yeah, if you're really lucky and it's a horde army, maybe you get all those 3, and if you do, best case scenario, you get 6 damage. With this, best case scenario, if you do 12 damage. Not that that's going to happen with one model, extremely unlikely, but you've got the potential, which is really nice. And so yeah, that's good. Yeah, you need an 8 or more to charge. However, with the reroll to charge ability, which is a command point now, yeah, you've got potential to it, especially if you've got a big unit of these. It could be something worth investing in. And then the Gore Beast Charge. So Gore Beast Chariots thunder into enemy formations in a rampage of destruction. After this unit has finished a charge move, roll a dice for each enemy model within 2 inches. For each roll of a 6, that model unit suffers a mortal wound as a warrior is pounded into dirt, impaled on metal horns, or basically really excessive spiky spinning wheels. So that is nice there as well, because what I like about it, it's models within 2 inches, and bear in mind your bases here are quite big, and if you charge them and they charge and they sort of drift into the enemy, you basically stretch out the bases, crashing into the enemy's front lines, you probably get more models within range. And yeah, especially like I say, again, if you charge a horde unit, which this could be pretty good at taking down horde units, you're getting quite a lot of dice to be rolling, and you're going to get some 6s. So and it's a mortal wound, so never say no to that. And then the last ability, Mark Chaos, so you can give it the Corn Teach Nergal Stannis keyword when you set up. And then the keyword, so it's got Chaos, Mortal, Slate of Darkness, Chaos, Gore Beast, Chariot. So yeah, of course, like I said before, the important things there are Mortal and Slate of Darkness. And remember, like I say, you can add a keyword to it, by picking either the Corn, Teach Nergal, Stannis, obviously not all 4 of them. Cool, so those are the Chariots, and now we have got one other unit to mention before we go into the heroes. Now, I didn't say this at the start separately, and that's just because I know it's not actually a hero, but I sort of see it as a hero, and in a sort of, when I say see it as a hero, in a very sort of twisted form and sort of cruel, and that of course would have to be the Chaos Spawn, as they were once great heroes or champions, but now became nothing but mindless beasts. Now, the Chaos Spawn is a pretty cheap unit, it's nothing to write home about too much. They come in minimum size units of 1 for 50 points, and you can take the maximum size units of 6 with no discount on that. They're not battle line, there's nothing like that, they're just, simply the other unit role. So looking at what they are in the lore, I'm sure you guys already know what they are roughly, but just a little bit of description. It says, Chaos Spawn are impossibly warped creatures, withering wretches whose bodies are so twisted by mutations that they shamble mindlessly towards their enemies before lashing out with their many repulsive and lethal appendages. So yeah, pretty hideous creatures, aren't they? So looking at their rules, they've got a 2d6 movement, got a 5+ save, a bravery 10 and 5 wounds. So the best thing there is bravery 10 and 5 wounds. 2d6 movement, a swingy as hell, could be good, could be terrible basically. 5+ save, at least it's not a 6+ save, there's always, it can always be worse. So yeah, not the best stat wheel there. And then going into the melee weapons, so we've got the Freakish Mutations, and that's the only one, so it's got 1 inch range, 2d6 attacks, force to hit, force to win, no render, 1 damage. So again, yeah, swingy as hell, guys. This thing is. That's pretty much the caption for this guy. So yeah, obviously if you get 12 attacks, amazing. You can equally get 2 attacks. So yeah, and then going into its ability, so Curse of the Dark Gods, and then it says when you set it up, you can give it the Khorne, Nergal, Stannis, or Tzeentch keyword. So one of those, and that's basically just like the mark of chaos sort of keywords. Which is cool because, you know, like a Chaos Spawn can't really dedicate itself to a Chaos God. So what they did is they said cursed by the Dark Gods. So it still sort of fits into their lore there. And then it's got the Withering Tentacles as its last ability. And it says, if you roll a double when determining the number of attacks made by a Chaos Spawn, freakish mutations, add 1 to the hit and to wound roll for attacks made by that models until the end of the phase. So that is, it makes it more reliable, isn't it? I mean, like 2d6 is random as hell, and trying to get a double, I mean, you know, you've got a good chance of that. But it means if you get a double 6, like I say, you're making 12 attacks, you're hitting and winning on freeze, it makes it pretty good. Obviously, this isn't going to be good at taking down things with armour, because it's got no rend, and it's got to do more wounds, you know, just basing off its war scroll. So that's to bear in mind there. And then it's got the keywords Chaos, Beasts of Chaos, so, you know, obviously it can go in that army as well. Mortal, Slaves of Darkness, and Chaos Spawn. So something important to remember there is that it is actually a mortal unit, despite it looking like a demon. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I sort of went through this one quite quickly. However, because I'm not really amazed by the Chaos Spawn, you know, I wouldn't suggest go out and start fielding units of 6 of these guys, just put it that way. However, a lot of the rules in the Slaves of Darkness army allow you to get them for free, essentially, you know, for them to replace the heroes when they go to spawn them and stuff, which is, it's a nice way to have them in the army. So yeah, I do like that. I think they are nice as like a way to summon on a model, a really cool raid thematic, but to take them as units themselves, I'm personally not a massive fan, unless you've got like a spare 50 points left over, maybe, but you might be best saving that for a command point. Okay, so that was the Chaos Spawn, and with that it takes us into our heroes. So you've got 2 types of heroes in Slaves of Darkness. You've got the combat variations, and you've got the wizard variation. Basically, you've got the Chaos Lords and the Chaos Sorcerers. So we're going to start with the sort of champions of Chaos first, so the sort of combat variants, and we're going to start with the lowest of them. So this is an exalted hero of... So he is going to cost you 80 points. So bear that in mind. So pretty cheap, and he has got the leader battlefield role. And then going into a little bit about the lore about him, it says, many are the champions of chaos on the road to damnation. Most will earn only death or damnation, and just sort of think about that sort of contradicts itself. But anyway, it says, but there are those who bravery and skill at arms sees them exalted in the eyes of the ruinous powers. Carnage is left in the wake of these glory-hungry axemen as they seek out the truly heroic and monstrous to further prove their might. So, looking at the description, it says an exalted hero of chaos is a single model. He can unleash a rain of blows upon his enemy with a pair of chaos death axe. He carries a thrice-damned dagger that he's used to carve the steel beaten heart from defeated foes. So, looking at his chaos death axes, so it's 1 inch range, d6 attacks, force to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, 1 damage. So again, swing as hell, guys. Similar to the Chaos Spawn there. However, it has got a -1 rend. So yeah, it makes it, you know, it makes it a bit better. Less attacks than the Chaos Spawn, and we are comparing it to that. But you know, it's completely different, so that'd be unfair. And then going into its abilities, so it can be given the Khorne, Tzeentch, Nergal, Stannis keyword. You can be given one of those because it has got the mark Chaos ability when you set up, and then it's got the Trial of Red Ruin. So if an exalted hero of chaos charges, he can pile in an attack 2 times in the following combat phase instead of only once. Second pile in, move, and attack are immediately after the first set of attacks is complete. So that's good. So he gets to attack twice, essentially. So basically he's got 2d6 attacks, which are nice. And then he has the Glory Hungry Axeman. Add 1 to the hit rolls for an exalted hero of chaos if he targets a hero or monster. So then that means he's hitting on freeze and winning on freeze, so that's good. And then the last ability is Thrice Damned Dagger. An exalted hero can use his Thrice Damned Dagger at the end of a combat phase to cut the heart from one enemy hero or monster slain by his death axes in that phase. If he does so, he can double the number of attacks he makes with his chaos axes in the next combat phase. So that's alright. I believe it looks like it's only one combat phase, but if he does do it, you know, it means that he's doubling his number of attacks. And bear in mind that I said, you know, he gets to immediately attack twice. If he charges, then he could be making 46 amount of attacks. So if, you know, the perfect storm scenario in that sort of situation, it could be, you know, it could be alright. And then it goes on to his keywords. So he's got Chaos, Immortal, Slaves of Darkness, Hero, Exalted Hero of Chaos. I feel like this is one of the heroes that you can sort of skim over a little bit, because unless you're really, really strapped for points and you just want to add in an extra leader, and he is cheap, I don't really think he's nothing to write home about. I know he is not an expensive hero, so can't really complain there, and he is designed to tackle enemy heroes or monsters, but if you send this guy against a monster, good luck with that. And yeah, I'm not a massive fan of this. I don't think it's one of the best heroes for the Slaves of Darkness, but there are some nice cool models for him. Okay, and then moving on to the Dark Oath War Queen. So she is going to cost you 80 points, and she is a leader. So she is in the lore. Let's have a look. So she came out basically the same time as Malign Portent. She's sort of like, I think the name character version of her sort of led the forces of chaos against the forces of Nagash in, like I say, Malign Portents in the realm of Shaiish. So she led the forces of chaos, which I don't understand, because how can she take on Archaon? Not that she took on Archaon, but she, I don't know how she can be such a high ranking soldier basically in the Chaos Army when she is an 80 point tiny model, but that's besides the point. So let's look at the lore. So it says the Dark Oath War Queen has proven herself the rightful ruler for barbarian tribes people time and time again, whether in single combat under the arena of Bloody Sky or as a visionary who does the will of the Dark Gods. She has sworn dread pacts with chaos that she will bring carnage to the mortal realms, and her kin obey her without question. All who stand in her way will face her wrath. Now, just to let you guys know before I go into this one, I'm not a massive fan of her. Yeah, the model's cool, but the model's incredibly overpriced. My honest opinion. I don't think she's particularly good in the game, so this is going to be a little bit of a quick review. Sorry for you guys if you really like her and stuff. I think she's quite a cool model, but I think she's just overpriced and she just doesn't do much. But I will read through a war scroll nonetheless. So she's got a 6-inch movement, a 5+ save, bravery 8 and 5 wounds. So 5+ save, not good. Movement of 6, not bad. Bravery 8, that's good, and 5 wounds standard for a sort of size. One melee weapon, so that's the Warlord Axe. It's got 1-inch range, 4 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to win, -1 rend, 1 damage. At least it's a 3 to hit and a 3 to wound. It's got -1 rend on it. And then she's got her ability, so Savage Duelist. So it says attacks are made with this model's Warlord Axe have a damage characteristic of 2 if they target an enemy hero or monster. In addition, each time a wound inflicted by the model slays a hero or monster, add 1 to the attack characteristic of that model's Warlord's Axe for the remainder of the battle. So yeah, that sounds all good and amazing, but if you set this thing up against a enemy hero or monster and she's not attacking first, she's going to get killed easily by it with a 5-up save. Okay, so then we go on to the Infernal Rune Shield. So roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound. So this model on 6+, that wound is negated, and the attacking model unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all the attacks have been made. So yeah, that sounds good, and she's got another save. You know, she's got a save against mortal wounds, so it makes her a bit more survivable, but still a 5+ save, and she's going against monsters and heroes. I don't see her doing particularly well, unless she's attacking first, of course, obviously, then maybe she can do a bit of damage. And then her command ability, so she's got Will of the Gods. So if this model is your general and uses command ability, then you can reroll failed charge rolls for friendly Slaves of Darkness units that are wholly within 12 inches of it at the start of the charge phase. So I despise this ability, because you have to be wholly within 12 inches, which is why wouldn't you just use the standard command point to be able to make them reroll their charges, and they don't have to be Slaves of Darkness then. And also, this model doesn't only have to be in your army, of course, it has to be your general to use this command ability, which I am really not a fan of. So sorry guys, sound a bit negative about this. I'll go through the keywords. So she's got the Chaos Mortal, Saves Darkness, Hero and Dark Oath War Queen. I think, you know, I like the model like I say, but she's, in my eyes, like £20 for the size of her is ridiculous. And she's not even that good in the game to make up for it. So sorry to sound a bit negative there guys, but I just have to tell you my honest opinions about this one. So, and then going on to what looks to be basically her husband, which will be the Dark Oath Chieftain, which is from the Silver Tower box set, I believe. So, like I say, it's from the Silver Tower box set, but you know, there are ways to get him separately. So, similar to his wife, he is going to cost you 80 points, and he is a leader. The Dark Oath Chieftain, so a Dark Oath Chieftain has set his feet upon the path to glory or damnation. His every deed is meant to win the favour of the gods. This barbarous warrior has slain mighty rivals, bested great beasts, and torn down the enclaves of order and light whenever he has found them. So first of all, I say about this guy, I prefer him more maybe than his, you know, the Queen. However, I'm still not a massive fan of the rules for this guy, so I'm going to be doing it quite quick. So he's got a 6-inch movement, he's got a 5+ save, he's got bravery 8 and 5 wounds, so like the same as the War Queen there. Nothing to write home about. Bravery 8 isn't bad. Melee weapons, so he's got 2, so he's got the War Axe at 1-inch range, 1 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, no rend and 1 damage. And then the broadsword, so 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend and 1 damage. So that one's okay, but the War Axe is like terrible. And then the ability, so he's got the Berserker Charge. A Dark Oath Chieftain makes 6 attacks with his broadsword instead of 3 if he charged earlier in the turn. So yeah, that's good. You know, the 6 attacks with a 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend. So yeah, pretty good there. The Death Blow, if a Dark Oath Chieftain slays any models in the combat phase, each enemy unit within 1 inch of him at the end of the combat phase suffers a 1 mortal wound. So that's quite good. You know, that starts making a reason to, you know, why this guy would be fighting. And then the last ability, which is Quest for Glory. Keep track of the number of wounds inflicted by this model during battle. If the total reaches 8 or more, you can add 1 to the hit rolls made for this model for the remainder of the battle. If the result reaches 16, you can add 1 to the wound rolls for this model as well. So then that means that he's hitting on 2s and wounded on 2s if you manage to get that off. However, I severely doubt you're going to get it off unless he's chewing his way through hordes. Yeah, and then his keyword, so he's got Chaos Mortal, Slaves of Darkness, Hero and Dark Oath Chieftain. So like I said I prefer this guy more than his wife. I think I might prefer the War Queen, but honestly guys, I'm not a massive fan of the rules of these guys. They're sort of, you put them into your army because you like the models, I think. That's my own personal opinion for them. So, and like I said, they are only 80 points, so you can't ask for too much, but at the same time, I'd rather save the 80 points or just put in a chariot or something. Remember, these are also taking up a leader spot, which is always worth remembering that. Okay, so then we are going to take it up a notch, and that is going to be with a Lord of Chaos. So basically, you know, we're going further up the path to glory here, and that's basically how I'm going to review these heroes. You know, you start from the bottom and go up to the top. So the Lord of Chaos, so its description: a Lord of Chaos is a single model, undefeated in battle. Each is armed with a demon possessed Reaper blade and carries a Chaos sword in their hip. So looking at his rules, so he's got a 5-inch move, he's got a 4+ save, bravery 8 and 6 wounds, so same as what we saw for the Dark Oath. However, he has got a 4+ save, that's better, and he's got an extra wound. And then looking at his weapons, so his first melee weapon, so he's got the demon possessed Reaper blade, so it's got 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -2 rend, 2 damage. And the Chaos sword, which is 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, no rend and 1 damage. So yeah, they're pretty good attacks. Everything hitting and winning on 3, which is always nice. The Reaper blade that has 2 damage also has 3 attacks and -2 rend and a 2-inch range as well. So that's very nice to see there. Good chance of getting that damage through. And then looking at his ability, so he's got Glory or Damnation. A Lord of Chaos is 1 step from becoming a Demon Prince. Add just a close to spawn them. The Lord of Chaos slays an opposing army's general. Then you can choose to replace him with a Demon Prince model. On the other hand, if a Lord of Chaos is slain, you can replace him with a Chaos Spawn. In either case, the new model has his full complementary of starting wounds. So yeah, that's pretty good. I think this might have been added in since last time I read the Lord of Chaos War Scroll, or this might have always been there, but I think it's been added in. Yeah, to turn this guy into a Doom Prince is awesome, and obviously there's more than ways you can do that with the Slaves of Darkness I've already been through. And then it's an extra way to get a spawn on the table. You know, worst comes to worst, if he dies, you're getting a spawn, aren't you? So yeah, it's pretty good. And then it goes to the Mark of Chaos. It says, when you set up this model, you can declare that it has a mark of Khorne, or Nergal, or Slaanesh, or Tzeentch. And then the model has the keyword and gains the relevant ability from the following list. So if it's dedicated to Khorne, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for a Lord of Chaos with a mark of Khorne. Tzeentch, you can reroll save rolls of 1 for a Lord of Chaos with the mark of Tzeentch. Slaanesh, a Lord of Chaos with the mark of Slaanesh, can run and charge in the same turn. Nergal, you can reroll wound rolls of 1 for a Lord of Chaos with the mark of Nergal. So looking at those right now, I think the Khorne one's quite good because it's the rerolls the hit. But there are other ways to do this. I quite like the Slaanesh one because I'm definitely biased towards Slaanesh, because if I was doing Slaves of Darkness, it would definitely be Slaanesh. Slaanesh is my favourite out of those 4 Chaos Gods. And yeah, because I like that, because you run a charge, pretty good, and you want to get this guy into combat. So yeah, but you know, like I say, the other, there's not really any bad ones there, I would say. And then the Reaper Blade. So once during the battle, before attacking with the Lord Chaos Reaper Blade, you can say that he will unleash the fury of the demon that possesses it. If you do so, make only 1 attack, but it inflicts 2d6 damage. Okay, so this is huge. This is why some people bring this guy just for this, because that's an attack that only makes 1, but you hit and wound on a 3, and potentially re-rolling 1 for those, depending on what god you go for. -2 rend, so you're gonna get that damage through more than likely. And yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's a nice ability there. And then going into his command ability, it's aided by the gods. If a Lord of Chaos uses this ability, pick a Slaves of Darkness unit within 10 inches, and that has the same mark of Chaos as the Lord. Until your next hero phase, that unit receives the same benefit as the Lord of Chaos receives for his mark of Chaos. So that's cool. You give an ability to another unit, and make another unit being able to run a charge, put it on the Knights or something, that really makes them pretty fast. And then going to the keywords, he's got Chaos Immortal, Slaves of Darkness, Hero, and Lord of Chaos. Something to remember, like I said before, you don't have to pick a keyword for your units if you don't want to. You want to be undivided, that's cool. But it would be more beneficial for you to pick a keyword. However, this guy, you're gonna pick a god for him to be dedicated to, because otherwise you're just outright missing out on his ability, and also his command ability won't make any sense either. So how many points is this guy going to cost you? So he is definitely more expensive than the other heroes we looked at, because he is 140 points for this leader, which is 60 points more than the other heroes. It's almost double the point cost. However, I think he is worth it, definitely, because if you're going to have a hero in your army, make it do something, make it either give synergy to your army or be able to handle its own. Definitely, so I think he is a better choice than the others. And then taking up a notch, we've got the Lord on Demonic Mount, which is essentially a Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. So the description is: a Lord on Demonic Mount is a single model. He wields a cursed warhammer and bears a Chaos Rune Shield. The Lord takes to battle atop a demonic mount that thunders forth to strike down enemies with its mighty hooves. So it's got a 10-inch move, a 4+ save, a bravery of 8, and 7 wounds. So all of those are nice. 10-inch move is good, especially however the armor this guy is. 4+ save, cool. Bravery 8, good. And 7 wounds for this mounted Chaos Lord on a horse makes him a beast, in all honesty. So then we've got the melee weapon, so the Cursed Warhammer. So 1-inch range, 4 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to win, -4 rend, and 2 damage. So that's a nice attack there. Nice, solid, and reliable attack. The Demonic Mounts Mighty Hooves. So we've got a 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, no rend, and 1 damage. So a good horse attack there, because it's hitting on a 4 and wounding on a 3, which, pretty good. Good. And then we've got the abilities. So we've got Eye of the Gods. And it says, the life of a Chaos Lord is a quest for power, and with each mighty foe slain, he takes 1 step closer to immortality. Each time this model slays a monster or hero, roll a dice. If the result is a 2 or more, this model heals D3 wounds. If this model is already at full health, increase the wound characteristic by 1. So that's good. That makes this guy stay alive in the fight for longer. Like I say, he's a bit of a beast with 7 wounds here. Means you can heal him and potentially even get him up to 8 wounds, which is pretty goddamn cool. And it's got the Mark of Chaos, so when you set up this model, you declare that it has a mark of Khorne, Nergal, Slaanesh or Tzeentch. The model has that keyword and gains the relevant abilities from the following list. So very similar to what we saw about the unmounted Chaos Lord. So if you dedicate it to Khorne, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for this model's Cursed Hammer if it has the mark of Khorne. So bear in mind this won't be affecting the horse attacks, it's just for the Cursed Hammer, but obviously that's the best one here, so that's all good. Nergal, if you're dedicated to him, if this model has the mark of Nergal, it has a wound characteristic of 8 instead of 7, so it makes him even more of a bit of a tank. Tzeentch, you can reroll failed save rolls for this model if it has the mark of Tzeentch. That's a really good one. And Slaanesh, this model can run and charge in the same turn if it has the mark of Slaanesh. Okay, so for me, biasly, I'm going to say the Slaanesh one's great because I love Slaanesh, and being able to run and charge is always good, especially on a mounted guys within 10 inches anyway, because if he runs, if let's say again, like you really want to put loads of effort into it, if you make him run, you can use the command point and the command ability to make him run an automatic 6, and then he's charging, so that means he's moving 16 inches and then a charge if you really want to do it. That's sort of potential you've got there. So I like the Slaanesh one. I think the Nergal one's good to give him an extra win, but I think the Tzeentch one is very good. Reroll and all failed save rolls, you know, you can't underestimate that. That is really fantastic. And the command ability, so the Knights of Chaos. If a Chaos Lord on demonic mount, use this ability to select a unit of Chaos Knights, Chaos Chariots or Gorby's Chariots from your army within 15 inches until your next hero phase. You can reroll charge rolls for that unit and add 1 to any hit rolls for them in the combat phase. So you're adding 1 to hit rolls here, and like we've already looked at, Chaos Knights and Chariots, that can make a huge difference, can be really, really good and affect them. Getting the reroll to charge is really quite massive, and really does make an impact on them, and it's really going to get them the charges that they need. Like looking at the Chaos Knights, for example, like I said, definitely put the glaze on them because they're more likely going to get their charges in. This just enhances that even better. And then looking at the keywords for this guy, he's got Chaos Demon, Mortal, Slaves of Darkness, Hero and Lord on demonic mount. So an important one here to read, we haven't really read so far, is Demon. So that means that he can be given demon artifacts, and this is if you take him, you know, in a Nergal army or a Tzeentch army or a Blaze Khorne army. You can actually give him, you know, demon artifacts because he is a hero and he has got the demon keyword. So that is good. Something to bear in mind though is what it means is that there are some enemy abilities that target demons or do particularly well against demons. So this is like Seraphons with their Bastiladon. You know, laser cannon, it's a good example. It's great at killing demons, and you've got many more and then that, so just bear that in mind with the enemy, because there also might be another things that the enemy might not be aware that this guy's got the demon keyword, so it might be a bit of a shock to them when they realise that actually if they shot this guy they could have done a lot more damage than they thought. Okay, so that is the Lord and Demonic Mount, and how much is he going to cost you? So the Chaos Lord and Demonic Mount is 140 points, so the same as the one that is unmounted, and I think this one is a bit better in all honesty. Yeah, sure, the one unmounted has got a really good once per game ability with his attacks, but I think this guy has definitely got better abilities with its marks of chaos. I wouldn't say go with the Khorne one unless you really want to go heavy on the offensive, just because getting rerolls of 1 for something is not as good as either getting, you know, like as is each one, for example, all failed save rolls you can reroll. So that is the Lord on Demonic Mount. So yeah, I like that. Pretty good, pretty good. And then going on to, before we get to the sort of bigger things, I thought we'd look at a nice tribute, which is Slambo. So this is, you know, like the old Chaos Warrior model, and they brought him back as a unique leader. So he's unique, he can't be given any artifacts, of course, but he is only going to cost you 80 points. So again, he is cheap. And then looking at the description, so Slambo is a single model. He is armed with a pair of Chaos Axes, which he uses to carve apart enemies at close quarters. He can also hurl them at cowardly foes who refuse to come close. So looking at his stats, so he's got 5-inch move, 4+ save, bravery 8, 5 wounds, a save of 4 and bravery 8 is always good. And then looking at his weapon, so he's got a missile weapon and a melee weapon. So let's look at the missile weapon first. So hold Chaos Axe. So 8-inch range, 1 attack, 3 to hit, 3 to win, -1 rend, D3 damage. Okay, so not a bad range there. I mean, you know, it's nothing to write home about, but, you know, it could have been like a 4-inch range or something like really small. You know, it's just an Axe's range, so it's good as 8 inches. Only 1 attack, it has got a -1 rend and could do D3 damage. It's got a good to hit and to win characteristic for that. And then the melee weapon, so the Chaos Axe. So, when I say Chaos Axe, I mean it's axes because it's obviously got twin axes. It's got a 1-inch range, D6 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to win, -1 rend, and 1 damage. So, yeah, not bad, but you know, like very swingy as hell. And then his abilities, he's got Legendary Killer. So, if Sambo charges, he can pile in an attack twice in the following combat phase instead of only once. The second pile win and attack move are made immediately after the first set of attacks are complete. So that's because this guy attacks twice in a row, so basically he's making 2d6 attacks. It makes it a bit more reliable, pretty good. Similar to what we saw with the first hero we looked at, of course, being the Exalted Hero of Chaos. So yes, that is his first ability. Then moving on to his second, which is a Glory Seeking Axeman. Add 1 to the hit rolls for Slambo if the target is a hero or monster. If Slambo kills a hero or monster in the combat phase, double the number of attacks he makes with the Chaos Axes in the next turn. So that is good there. Then that means if he does double them, then that means that when he charges, he'll be attacking twice straight away, which then he basically has 4d6 attacks, which then makes him really pretty good for his 80 points cost. So then looking at keywords, Chaos Mortal, Slaves of Darkness, Hero, Exalted, Hero of Chaos, Slambo. So Slambo, I'm not gonna lie, first time I've really looked at him just now, and I thought, right, here we go, it's not going to be particularly good and so on. However, he's not terrible. I mean, like, he says only 80 points, but I think I would take him over the other 80-point heroes you have in the army, I think. And yeah, he's name character, so he can't be given an artifact or a command trait, but I wouldn't be making this guy a general anyway. He'll probably be given an artifact to something a bit more important and with a bit more chance of survivability. Okay, so with Slambo done, we now move on to something pretty big and pretty terrifying, what the Slaves of Darkness have. And this is a Chaos Lord on a Manticore, so a step up from the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. So the description of this is a Chaos Lord Manticore is a single model. The Chaos Lord carries either a Demon Blade or Chaos Flail in one hand and a Chaos Lance in the other. Some Chaos Lords instead look to guard against enemy attacks and carry either a Chaos Rune Shield or a Dagger Fist instead of a Chaos Lance. Okay, so then looking at seeing how many points this guy is going to cost you. So a Chaos Lord on a Manticore is going to cost you 250 points and he's a leader and a behemoth, so something worth bearing in mind there. And then looking at his stats, so he starts with a 12-inch movement, but as he is a monster, he has got a damage table, so this will go down. And he's got a 4+ save, bravery 8, and 12 wounds. And he's got, for his melee weapons, as we've gone through which ones he can have, he's got the Demon Blade, which is a 1-inch range, 4 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to win, no rend, and D3 damage. The Chaos Lance, so 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, no rend, and 2 damage. Chaos Flail, 2-inch range, 6 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to win, no rend, and 1 damage. The Manticore's Claws and Jaws, so 1-inch range, 5 attacks, 4 to hit. Then it has a 2 to wound, however that this as a monster will get weaker the more damage it takes. And then it has a -1 rend and 1 damage. And then it's got the Manticore's Lashing Tail that starts at a d6 amount of attacks, but then will get weaker as part of the damage table. Okay, so looking at those attacks, my favourite is personally the Chaos Lance, just because it's a nice flat 2 damage. And then I personally would probably go for a Chaos Rune Shield just to give you the mortal wound save, but we'll get to that in a moment. And then going into the ability, so it can fly, and it also says that when you set up this model, you can declare that it has a mark of chaos. So the marks of chaos are Khorne, Nergal, Slaanesh, or Tzeentch. The model has that keyword and gains the relevant abilities from the following list. So Khorne, this unit can make a 9-inch pile-in instead of a 3-inch. If it has the mark of Khorne. Nergal, this model can have a save of 3+ if it has the mark of Nergal. Tzeentch, this model can attempt to unbind one spell in an enemy hero phase as if it is a wizard. And then it has the Slaanesh keyword, which if this model has the mark of Slaanesh, enemy units Must subtract 1 from the brave casters if they were within 3 inches of it in the battle shock phase. Okay, so no surprise, the Slaanesh one is my favourite one, but generally I have a reason behind this because we looked at making the enemy -3 to their bravery from allegiance abilities, and then with the Chaos Knights nearby they're -4, and then with this guy nearby they're -5. So making an enemy unit -5 to their bravery is absolutely insane. So I'm just going to leave that there. That's something I'd love to do and terrorise my opponent's army. And then the Chaos Rune Shield, so roll dice each time a Chaos Lord Manticore with a Chaos Rune Shield suffers a mortal wound on a 5 or 6, that mortal wound is ignored. So yeah, that's why I like to take it, just to make this guy a bit more survivable. And then it says the Dagger Fist, so each time you make a successful save roll of 6 or more for Chaos Lord and Manticore with a Dagger Fist and the attacking unit is within 1 inch, he parries the blow and punches back. The attacking unit suffers a mortal wound after it has made all of its attacks. So yeah, I still prefer the Chaos Rune Shield of that. Then the Chaos Lance, so a Chaos Lord Chaos Lance inflicts 3 damage rather than 2 and has a range characteristic of -1 if the model charged the same turn. So yep, I prefer that. Like I said, I wanted the Lance because I like the flat 2 damage, and then if it charges it gets a -1 rend and it comes 3 damage. You're going to quite often charge the guy because it's got a good movement of 12 inches to start. And I think that pairs up nicely with the Chaos Rune Shield. So then we have the next ability, which is Territorial Predator. Any who stray into the terrifying territory of a Manticore are as good as dead, especially larger creatures, which it can see as potential rivals. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for a Manticore's claws and jaws attacks if the target is a monster. If the target is a unit within your army territory, you can reroll all failed hit rolls for these attacks. So that is good there. The Manticore, when I played with him before, when I've used him, because I used to have a Slaves of Darkness, Zeech like 3 years ago, it's very different back then, but the Manticore never did me proud really, have to be said. So yeah, don't look too much into that one basically. And then the command ability, so Iron Wield Overlord. Manticores are Berserker killers, and any Chaos Lord who rides onto battle displays such an obvious dominance that none would dare deny his orders. So if a Chaos Lord Manticore uses this ability, select a Chaos Warrior unit from 15 inches until your next hero phase, you can reroll charge rolls, wound rolls, and battle success for the unit. So that is a really good ability. Obviously you can only put in Chaos Warriors, so sort of if you're going to go for a Chaos Warriors heavy list, this could be a good command ability for you. And then looking at the keywords, it's got the Chaos Mortal Manticore, Slaves of Darkness Monster, Hero, and Chaos Lord. So yes, obviously important keywords there. And it being mortal, remember, is also important as well, unlike the Chaos Lord and Demonic Mount, which is basically just that horse. Okay, so then moving on to our next one, and we're going to take a step down now because we're now going to look at the sort of spellcasters of the Slaves of Darkness, and we're going to start with the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Now, I say it's a step down, however, he is 160 points for a unmounted, model. He is a leader, of course, and he is a spellcaster. And why is he so expensive? Especially when you look at some of his stats. Like, he's got a 5-inch movement, he's got 5+ save, 7 bravery, and 5 wounds, which aren't terrible, but for 160 points, what makes him so good? We'll get into that in a moment. So it says the description is a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. It's a single model armed with a Chaos Rune Staff. Many Chaos Sorcerer Lords also carry a Chaos Sword to battle. Says Chaos Steed. Some Chaos Sorcerer Lords ride to battle on a Chaos Steed. These models have a move characteristic of 10 instead of 5 and gain the Chaos Steed's Flaying Hooves attack. So I don't know if you can buy the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on a horse animal from GW. However, it's definitely worth doing a conversion or using a proxy or something, because why wouldn't you? Because you're just getting an extra movement, and you're doubling your movement and you're getting an extra attack, aren't you? It's a weak attack, but it's still an attack. And talking about its attacks, so we've got the Chaos Rune Staff, so it's got a 2-inch range, 1 attack, force to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, D3 damage. Like it. And, well, it's basically the same as the standard wizard, isn't it? But, D3 damage, sometimes it can surprise you. Like, I've had my Necromancer kill a Mighty Lord of Khorne with D3 damage, and that Mighty Lord of Khorne had 3 wounds remaining. It was just like, everything went perfect, and, was lovely. So, they can surprise you, these wizard staffs. And then the Chaos Rune Sword, so it's got a 1-inch range, 1 attack, force hit, force to wound, no rend, 1 damage. Just an extra attack there, isn't it? Won't say no. And the Chaos Steed's Flaying Hooves, we've got one. It's got a 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 4 hit, 5 wound, no rend, and 1 damage. It's a bonus attack, and it's doubling your movement if you give it a horse, so why not? And then its ability, so it's got Oracle Vision, I believe it's pronounced. It says, in your hero phase, pick either a Chaos Sorcerer Lord or a unit within 10 inches to receive the gift of Foresight. Until your next hero phase, you can re-roll save rolls of 1 for that unit. Okay, so that is a good ability. That is such a good ability. It's just standard and flat, just basically giving something a Mystic Shield within 10 inches, not even needing to roll any dice, and the enemy cannot deny you. And the nice thing about this is that it's not just Slaves of Darkness units, so it's not just him. You can put it on any friendly unit within 10 inches. So this also means that if you're maybe going to a doubles tournament or something like that, and you're playing Slaves of Darkness and your mate's playing something else, let's play, I don't know, he's playing Seraphons, because something completely different, you can use this ability on those units because they are a friendly unit within 10 inches. And then it's got the Mark of Chaos, so if you wish, when setting up this model, you can pick one of the following keywords to assign to it for the duration of the battle. So Zeech, Nergal, or Slaanesh. So obviously the one we're missing here is Khorne, and that's because Khorne does not do magic. And that's it. That's very straightforward of him. He does not do magic. Cool. And then going into magic, talking about it, so the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is a wizard. He can attempt to cast one spell on each of your hero phases and attempt to unbind one spell on each of your hero phases. He knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Demonic Power spells. Okay, so my thing, still 160 points to this guy. What's it all about? I mean, like, yeah, he's given like a free 10-inch range Mystic Shield, isn't he? Picking a unit within that, so that's good. But it's still a lot of points, really. So then it all comes down to his one fantastic ability, and that is Demonic Power. So the Sorceress bestow his followers with a demonic essence, boosting their skill, strengthening resilience to unholy levels. Demonic Power has a casting value of 5. Successfully cast, pick the caster or a unit within 18 inches. Until your next hero phase, you can re-roll any hit rolls of 1, wound rolls of 1, save rolls of 1 made for that unit. That's absolutely huge, and I'll tell you for why. It makes this guy so popular as an ally or in generic Chaos armies, just because this spell works on any of those units. It doesn't have to be Slaves of Darkness, and that's such a good ability. You're giving them a Mystic Shield, you're giving them rerolls once the wound and reroll once the hit. It's massive, makes things so much reliable. I recently tried this on a unit of 6 Bile Trolls, the 6 Forge World Trolls from Tuckman's Horde, and yeah, they just did horrendous things there to hit him to wound caster. It's really good. I've done this on like huge units of Flamers of Zeech, which was just absolutely horrendous to the enemy and just basically napalm everywhere. It's absolutely amazing. It only casts on a 5, it even casts less than what Mystic Shield does, and it gives the Mystic Shield spell, and you know, rerolls 1 to hit and to wound, which is massive. I really can't overrate just how good this spell is. Honestly, it's one of the best spells in the game, if not the best spell in Chaos. So honestly, guys, this guy is definitely a really good consideration about putting him into your army. If it's just generic Chaos army, he can ally into it, just because of how good that ability is. It's good in any army, and also in certain armies I say it's almost an auto-include, just how good that is. He really makes him worth his points, but you have to protect him because he's only got 5 wounds and a 5-up save. So that is the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And then going on to something a bit bigger, of course, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore. So with this one, I'm going to skip a few things just because we've just talked about the Manticore and I don't really want to repeat myself too much. So what we've got is that he will cost you 200 points, and he's a leader in a behemoth, so he's 50 points cheaper than the Chaos Lord of Manticore, so that's good. And looking at his stats, so his wheel stats are exactly the same, so 12-inch movement, 4+ save, 8 bravery, and 12 wounds. His melee weapons, the only thing that's different is that instead of having the combat weapons of the Lord on top, he has the Sorcerer's Reaping Staff, which is 2-inch range, 2 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to win, no rend, D3 damage. So sort of like 2 wizard attacks, isn't it? Just taking a bit of rend there. And then going into the abilities, it says that you can give it the Zeech, Nergal, or Slaanesh keywords, and it just basically says you can't give it the Khorne one, and that's because Khorne does not like wizards, like I just said. And there's no generic benefit for giving it a certain keyword like the Chaos Lord on a Manticore, but you know, it will essentially get, you know, bonuses from being in certain armies and so on. So it's got the first ability after the Mark of Chaos, which is the Oracle Vision. So this is the same as we saw for the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot, which is, you know, pick a unit within 10 inches and it gets a free Mystic Shield essentially. And then it's got the Territorial Predator, which is the one what makes the Manticore a bit better in combat against monsters in your own territory. So yeah, that's alright, but don't look too much into it. Like I said, the Manticore's not amazing in combat. And then going into magic, says a Chaos Sorcerer Lord is a wizard. He can attempt to cast one spell on each of your hero phases and attempt to unbind one spell in each of the enemy hero phases. He knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Winds of Chaos spell. And the reason you take this guy is because of Winds of Chaos, because that spell was absolutely incredible if you can get it off well. I've had it in times where I've managed to get off so well that it's really changed the game. So enough of me talking about it. Let's see what it actually does. So, a Wind of Chaos. The Sorcerer summons the raw power of chaos and sends a vortex of fell energy screaming across the battlefield. Wind of Chaos has a casting value of 7. Successfully cast, pick a visible unit within 18 inches. Roll a number of dice equal to the total casting roll that was rolled for this spell. For example, if the Wind of Chaos was cast with a casting roll of 8, you would roll 8 dice as an example there. For each roll of a 5, the target unit suffers 5 mortal wounds, and for each roll of a 6, the target unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So firstly, what I will say about this is sometimes you'll roll it, obviously you won't cast it because 7 is quite a high casting value. There's plenty of ways for the enemy to try and unbind you. There's so many good anti sort of magic there is out there. Also, there's been times where I've casted it and I've cast it on I have cast it on a 12, and I've got 12 dice, and I'm so happy because I know how much damage I can do, and I roll them, and I get loads of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and it's just really demeaning, and like really your heart sort of sinks. However, I've rolled 12 dice before, and I've been lucky on a enemy Star Drake, and I've got things like I've managed to kill like a weakened enemy Star Drake. So I've got like I think on like 12 dice, I think I've rolled like I can't remember now. So it was either like 5s to 7s, 6s, like something incredible like that. And yeah, just melted it. Literally, it was so good. It was such an amazing feeling. And that's why I would take this guy, because yeah, he's not really good at anything else apart from that spell, but it made me really excited and looking forward to my hero phase just to do the spell, because I knew how insanely powerful it could be. So, and then looking at the keywords for this guy, he's got Chaos, Immortal, Manticore, Slaves of Darkness, Monster, Hero, Wizard, Chaos, and Sorcerer Lord. So yeah, that's him. I think he's pretty cool there. I think he's pretty good. And then going into our last hero, and I've sort of been saving this one up just because, like I said, this was sort of like a path to glory, wasn't it? The sort of way I was doing these heroes a little bit. So of course, the final one is the Demon Prince. So the Demon Prince will cost you 160 points. So the same as the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot. So what's all that up about? I say this is the most powerful one, and it's as expensive as a little guy with a staff on foot. But bear with me here, they obviously play different roles. So looking at the lore, it says transfigured as a reward for their service as a mortal champion of chaos. Demon princes are vast in stature, their gigantic frames twisted into shapes more pleasing to their masters that claim their allegiance for all eternity. Tirelessly they hunt the enemies of chaos from one realm to another, for their meat is mortal flesh and their wine is the stuff of souls. Okay, so looking at the description, it says a Demon Prince is a single model. It can cleave a foe with its demonic axe or hell-forged sword and rend them apart with its maleficent talons. So some Demon Princes have been blessed with the ability to fly. So if it can fly, a Demon Prince has a smooth caches of 12 rather than 8. And when you buy them, they are going to come with wings. I think the standard box does have that in the kit. So movement of 8, but 12 obviously because it flies. A 4+ save, bravery 10, and 8 wounds. It's melee weapons, so you can either go demonic axe or hellforged sword. So the demonic axe, it's got a 2-inch range, 4 attacks, force to hit, freeze to wound, -2 rend, d3 damage. Or you've got the hellforged sword, which is 2-inch range, 4 attacks, freeze to hit, freeze to wound, -1 rend, and d3 damage. So basically you're trading a +1 to hit for a -1 to rend with the demonic axe. My personal favourite one is the demonic axe, just because There are some armies out there with good armor saves, not as many now because of how Mystic Shield changed, and there are things like Nighthaunt that, you know, just ignore rend, basically, so that would be wasted. But for when you fight against those Stormcast armies and stuff, it's just useful to have the -2 rend just really to punch through it, and I think the axe looks pretty awesome. And then you get the Talons of Stannis, so it's got a 1-inch range, 3 attacks, force to hit, freeze to wound, no rend and 2 damage. So no rend there, but you still get 3 attacks that do 2 damage, so not bad at all. And then going into the ability, so it's got Curse Soul Eater, so it's a Demon Prince that is not dedicated to one of the Chaos Gods, heals 1 wound at the end of any combat phase in which it killed any models. If it killed any heroes or monsters, it heals a D3 wounds instead. Okay, so something I like about this is that, like I said, if you want to go for sort of more sort of unique, like sort of like unmarked army, which could be like a really nice, cool color scheme, all that sort of thing, this could be a, you know, it's nice that you get an ability here. And it's not like a bad ability. It's not like you just heal 1 wound if you kill a hero or monster and make it really hard to get. It's like you're going to heal 1 wound most combat phases because this guy's going to be killing stuff. And then if he kills a hero, which he's more than capable of, or a monster, which he has got a chance to do, for sure, he heals D3 wounds. So it's a good way of keeping him alive. And then it says Immortal Champion. So when you set up this model, you can declare it to be dedicated to Khorne or Nergal or Tzeentch or Slaanesh. And then if you do, it's got different rules for each one of them. But it was nice that you get something if you don't dedicate it. So it says the Demon Prince replaces the Cursed Soul Eater ability with a relevant ability from the following list. So you won't get the healing ability anymore, you'll get a new one. So the Khorne one says Demon Prince, their veins are running with liquid fire, are blood crazed champions. You can add 1 to all hit rolls made for a Khorne Demon Prince. So yeah, that's good, that's standard. You know, typical Khorne, but you know, not bad. Nergal, Demon Princes are bloated with disease and are unnaturally resilient. So harm a Nergal Demon Prince is a save of a 3+. Yep, that's a pretty good save. And it says each Demon Princes are surrounded by numerous of magical light. It says each Demon Prince is a wizard. It can attempt to cast a spell in each of your hero phases and attempt to unbind 1 spell in each of the enemy hero phase. A Tzeentch Demon Prince knows the Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield spell, so it only knows 2 spells. However, obviously if you put it in a Tzeentch arm and stuff, it can learn more. But that's not a bad ability to have at all. Yeah, it's only Mystic Shield and Arcane Bolt, but however, Mystic Shield does play a big part in a lot of armies, and if you do not include a wizard in your army and you think, oh, I really sort of just want a chance to get a Mystic Shield here, could really help me out. Just by making this guy a Tzeentch, you're getting basically a bonus wizard in your army, aren't you? So that's good there. And then if you dedicate it to Slaanesh, it says his Demon Prince is impossibly quick. When your opponent selects a unit within 3 inches of Demon Prince to partner in an attack, in combat phase you can immediately select the Demon Prince to partner an attack before the enemy unit, even though if it is not your turn to do so. This model can only do this if it has not already attacked this phase. So it's not going to surprise you that Slaanesh one is my favourite one, and that's because I'm biased towards Slaanesh. But I think this is pretty cool because it's going to be something the enemy might forget about and go, oh, okay, now I've charged you and now I'm going to attack you with this massive unit. It's going to do loads of damage. So, you're not going to do that because my Demon Prince is going to attack you. And let's say the massive unit, let's say it's Witch Elves, something like that. Sure, you're not going to wipe out that huge, massive block of them, but you might kill them enough to really damage them and really weaken their attacks that are going to come back at you. So it could be cool. So yes, I do like that, and I think it's something the enemy forget, and it's like a nice sort of fun ability to fuck around with the enemy. So yes, I do like that. And then going into the keywords, okay, so basically it's got Chaos Demon, Monster, Hero, and Demon Prince, and then it will also have the relevant keyword to what god you assign it to. Okay, so with that, guys, I believe that is all the heroes for the Slaves of Darkness. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong down below, but I think that's all the main ones anyway that I've gone through there. It's actually taken quite a while to do this video because I've done the Chariots as well in this, but I wanted to do them all, and I know I think sort of the second half of the video sort of sped up on how I was reviewing them. That's just because I didn't want the video to go on forever, you know. It's over an hour now, so I think that's definitely a good length for it. Don't want it to be too long. And what I would say, guys, is that I can do a battalion video for the Slaves of Darkness if you'd like, but as they do not have many battalions, it's something I'm not going to auto do. I only do it if you guys request it. And if you do, I'm happy to do it. But just because, like I said, they've only got about 3 battalions, and I have done quite a lot of content for the Slaves of Darkness now. And it might be something better to wait until they get a bit of an update, as battalions aren't something that necessarily needs to be reviewed straight away. But if, like I say, you guys like me to do that, not a problem at all. And yeah, it'd be cool to look at them. So in that case, this is potentially the last Slaves of Darkness video of this little series I've been doing, which to be honest, guys, I've really enjoyed it because it's been, I've really tried to put effort into it, because I think I've done like a video every day for the last 4 days now, and I've got all 4 of their videos out within 4 days, so really happy with that, especially how they're quite long videos. And yeah, it's actually been quite nice doing a series for an army that's not Death on the channel. That's been quite nice, being a bit different. Obviously, Death is my favourite, but yeah, it's been nice looking at different armies, and I've definitely learned stuff myself by going through it. And I know that if I want to go into the army, which, like I say, I would like to do a Slaanesh army, but you know, maybe one day. If I was to go into that army, I've got an idea how I'd do it now, and it's made me want to go into it even more, if I'm honest. And especially with the Battle Force box at the moment, and I've already done a review of that in an earlier video, which is a really good Battle Force. If you're going to do a Slaves of Darkness army, get that Battle Force, basically, for sure. Especially for £100, it's really good value. And also, it means if I fight Slaves of Darkness, which my mate has a Slaves of Darkness army, it's given me definitely more of an idea of what I can expect, for sure. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe and comment down below, and let me know if you'd like me to do a battalions video, as otherwise I'll be doing a other video, probably start another series with looking at another faction and really get the archive going. I have also recently done a video with the Great Book of Grudges, which is a really good YouTube channel, and he dedicates his channel to Warhammer Fantasy and doesn't play Age of Sigmar. However, he is incredibly knowledgeable about the world that was, so I am enlisting his help on doing some of the archive videos, and particularly the lore. So for example, if I did a video on Swiftfolk Agents, which is obviously a very, very small faction, and they don't really have any lore in Age of Sigmar, I could enlist his help so he could enlighten us with all the knowledge about what there was about them in the old world. You know, like, you look at them now and think, oh, I really like the models for that army, I really want to do that. You know, basically, if a kid goes into the store, goes on the computer, because obviously you can't really buy them from the shop now, but go onto the computer and says, oh, I really like these you know, these eagle chariots and all that thing, you know, that's awesome, because it's basically, it's awesome. And they say, oh, what can you tell me about, you know, what are they like in the story? Which, I don't know if all kids say that, but I know I was like that when I was a kid. When I got into the game, I wanted to know the army I was collecting was cool, because they like really got like a cool story behind them. And then if the kid says that to the store manager, and the store manager's like, oh, they don't really have any lore, any story, or any narrative at the moment, then that might just completely turn the kid off, and the kid will be like, oh, that's a shame, because I really like this army, and my friend really liked that army of gold armored blokes, and the gold armor, you know, soldiers have like 4 fucking books that have came out. So, you know, it'll be nice to give the armies that need the lore much love, I think. So yes, I've got a video of that where we're just basically chatting about the idea. I'll put it up next, I think, as it was really quite good fun, and exchanging ideas. So yes, anyway guys, that's a bit of a distraction, but it's just something I could tell you, that's be things that will be coming up. And yes, so like I say, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe and comment down below. Like I say, that does all really help me out as much as you can. I thank you very much for commenting a lot on quite a few of the Slaves of Darkness videos. It's great to see that you guys are really appreciative of the Slaves of Darkness video. That's why I wanted to do it, because I knew some of you guys obviously love Slaves of Darkness, and there's just like not really any content for you out there. So it was really nice that you guys enjoyed the videos. And like I say, it's been a great series to make. So remember guys, until next time, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.